everyone, I'm going to show you some simple relief printing techniques to do at home. This one is using some handmade stamps out of lino and then printing onto fabric. But you're able to easily do this with other materials and to print on paper as well. So you can adjust those as you see fit. I have my setup here. If you look back to other videos, I go through different ways to set up a printmaking studio at home and to use different materials that you may not have in your place of equipment and tools that you usually would want to work with. So you can look at those for other tips. I'll try to keep this one a bit shorter and just printing on fabric. I've made some stamps using Bloom Lino. It's like a rubbery, soft lino. You can get it at local art stores. They're still offering curbside delivery and online shopping, and you could likely get it online too, depending where you are. So I carved those with carving tools. I have mine here at home. You can easily cut these. You don't have to have lino tools available. You can use a knife, other tools. Just depends how detailed you want to get. You also don't have to have lino. You can use other materials, vegetables and fruit. So potatoes, onions, apples, those all make really great stamps. Just pick something that it depends what kind of pattern you want, or if you want to cut it, make shapes, or carve it. And so experiment and play around with that. Other materials that are great, corks. You might have some lying around if you've had some wine bottles. Other materials like cardboard, things that you just have around the house that can accept ink and transfer it. It's essentially a stamp. If you have old erasers, that's essentially what this stuff is. So try it out, see what you can do, and go from there. I'm using Speedball fabric relief ink. So this is great for fabric. It does take a while to dry on the actual material, but it's quite fast to dry on your palette. So just some notes to keep in mind when you're working. You don't have to have this. Think of other ways. So if you don't have ink on hand, you can use other materials. So paint, gouache, you might need to modify it. Test it out on some scrap fabric rags and go from there. And again, you could do this onto paper, so it does not have to be on fabric. I have a shirt that is kind of boring and plain, so I'll add to it, make it a little bit more exciting. A few months ago, I actually made a bunch of hand-printed baby onesies for a friend. These ones were too small for their little one, so I gave them the other ones, and they were kind of my test prints. But I just carved some stamps and had fun and printed at home. It was pretty easy to do. It didn't need a studio, didn't need a lot of materials, and it made a really great gift. I'm probably going to add to these ones today and give to another friend that's expecting. So I'll just show you guys the steps on how to do this. I have a palette for my ink. Again, with other videos, you don't have to have like a glass slab, anything that you're used to in a normal studio. Just something to put your ink on that you can wash off later. So this is an old piece of plexi from a frame. You can use cookie sheets, tops of Tupperware containers. Really just figure out what you have available to you. Palette knives are great. If you have like actual ones, that's great too. These tubes are pretty easy, so you could just actually squeeze out your ink, so you don't even need that necessarily. Again, this ink dries out fast, so I was testing some stuff earlier, and my palette dried out quite fast, so just keep that in mind. I'm just going to blend some of this blue and green together and tint it, and I'm going to just mix this ink together a little bit, and I'll just test and see what that color looks like on some newsprint. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll just make some more. What's great about this is you don't need a ton of tools. You can essentially just have your stamps, your ink, and whatever you're printing on. If you have a brayer or a roller, that's great, but stamps are really easy if you just put out some ink flat. It's pretty simple to just press that in. Make sure you don't have too much on, that's quite a bit of ink. So just blot that off onto your palette or onto newsprint. Good to do some tests. I'm just going to go for it. What's going to happen? I'm not going to like the shirt that I just wear around the house. It's fine. I'll keep adding to it. But I'm just going to go for it. Another great thing, this is really easy to just press down, push back up, and then keep printing. You don't need a Baron, you don't need a press, you don't need a roller. Great for kids, anyone that has maybe like mobility or issues with other fine motor skills. This is still pretty easy and accessible for most people to do. And it does wash off your hands really easily. So I'm just stamping this on. Think about your composition. Just have fun. It doesn't have to be perfect either. If it gets you back into printing, that's kind of the whole point. And then you can maybe get back into your other work after that. I'm going to keep going with this. Now, if I wanted to clean my tools, I could get a spray bottle or a little bucket of water and wipe them. I didn't really plan ahead that well, so I'm just going to wipe it and then wash my rag later. I'll show you guys how to work with rolling it on if you do need to. This is kind of a bigger stamp, so I might want to roll it on. I do have a brayer, which is great, but I'm going to show you a way to do this without those tools because you might not have access to them or you don't want to go buy one. So you could still make other things. If you have a rolling pin, great. I find that it'll probably get absorbed into your rolling pin, so you can't really use it for baking again. So just keep that in mind. But I found this old like plastic bottle, a pill bottle or a spice bottle would work fine. It has a cap or a lid. I kept mine on because there's just like sharp edges on the edge. So it actually allows me to hold it like this. And I'm using the edge of my palette. I'm just rolling back and forth. It's not perfect, I'm not gonna lie, but it gets the job done and looks pretty good. And then I can roll onto this lime wedge that I need. I'm only mixing a couple colors because I'm kind of just going with the color scheme of my shirt, and I'm just being not using too many materials. So shows that you don't have to have a whole lot available, but you could still be making some prints. So rolling this on actually worked pretty good. It didn't get my fingers too messy. That was just like me from being messy earlier, but it worked pretty good. So I might keep trying that as a brayer. And then I'm just gonna stamp that on so you can see my ink layer is pretty good, not too thick, not going into my detail of my carving. I'll just press that down. Sometimes you can get another print with it. Depends how much ink you've put on. That one is a little light, so I'll just add some more ink. I'm kind of adding ink to my palette as I go because I do find it just dries out and then you're just wasting your ink. And then you have more to clean up later. So I'll roll that onto my stamp. Things like anything textured, like bubble wrap, cardboard, you can cut and make patterns out of. So there's a lot of different options with this. Get creative and come up with some different tools that you can make. This one now, I could probably just like actually stamp into my palette because it's pretty lean and I don't have too much ink on there, so I'm not super worried about that now. Just gonna get my hands a wipe. And I'll just show you where I'm at with this one. I'll keep working on this, but just to give you an idea, pretty simple, fun, can keep making prints at home. Maybe you want to make cards for people, send them something in the mail. So something easy to get you back into printing at home with limited materials, but still kind of like easing into that comfort zone. So try it at home. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to know where to get materials, because you don't really have anything to work with at home, check out Gilded Rabbit, Paint Spot, Delta, Colors, and Desairs are all really great art stores in Edmonton. And then also you can look online for other options as well. So keep following our other videos, and if you have questions, just feel free and message us. Thanks. Bye.